Hey everybody, welcome back to Creating Scenery from Microsoft Flight Simulator, and you could also take this as a Blender tip as well. Many of you probably know this, but those that don't, I want to be fair and offer this up. First of all, hey, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. That'd be great to the channel. And make sure that you hit that like button and the bell for notifications for upcoming videos. You guys know the drill, right? By now, I think YouTube's been around long enough, right? Thank you for all that support this channel. I very much appreciate it, and you guys are awesome. And if you feel inclined to financially support me, buymeacoffee.com/myphysicalworld. That'd be cool. Kind of helps me. Well, I don't make money. I don't, but I do kind of upgrade mics and things like that, and that kind of helps. I hope. I don't go out and spend money frivolously. At least I don't think I do. But anyway, it helps. Keeps me going. Software updates, that kind of stuff. Most of the stuff that I use is free, and I try to do that. And I understand that this is a hobby, and we don't want to spend money for our hobbies. But I put this stuff out for you guys, and I hope it helps. But anyway, if you feel inclined to help support me, buymeacoffee.com/myphysicalworld. Anyway, commercial over. I'm sorry. Hey, let's look, an object that we use a lot are spheres. And obviously, in Blender, you can Shift A, mesh, and you can do UV sphere. Okay. Obviously, that's the most easiest way to make a sphere, right? There's also the icosphere, which is more like a soccer ball than it is a sphere. Okay, we use those for, I mean, if you're making orbs for light bulbs and things like that. But let's say if you have a sphere that you want it to be a little bit more crisp. The one thing that you have to remember about your models in Blender going into the sim or whatever you're doing is rendering absolutely abhors triangles. Okay, so let's tab into edit mode and take a look at the sphere. For the most part, the topology, and I am not a topology king whatsoever. I mean, you look at some of the meshes that I create for my scenery, and you'll look at me and you say, you've been doing this for how long? Okay, I understand. Quick and dirties are always really nice. Just get it done and move on with life, right? Okay, but there are times that topology I want to try to make as clean as possible. What is topology? Well, topology, in the world that I come from cartography, please hold. Yeah, another spam call. Don't you love those? From the world that I come from in cartography and geographic information systems and satellite remote sensing, that kind of stuff, topology is important. Okay, now in Blender, topology is important. Okay, and what is topology? Well, to make it simple, okay, I'm going to really make this as scaled down basic information as possible. You're going to see lots of videos on maintaining topology in your models. Okay, what is topology? Okay, well, topology, in its rudimentary, bare bones definition, topology is the relationship between all of your geometry. Okay, so if I come up here and do a face select and I select this face, okay, all right, we have one face. Okay, and this face is made up of 4 vertices. Okay, and this vertice right here is shared by 4 other faces. Okay, so this the topology of this face is based on this vertice. It's connected to this face, and this face. Okay, so like I said, in rudimentary definition of topology, topology is relationships between geometries. Okay, now in the GIS world, Geographic Information Systems world, or cartography, we have points, lines, and polygons. Pretty much just like you have faces, vertexes, and edges in Blender. Okay, but in GIS world, topology is more important because GIS is based on relationships between geometric shapes. Okay, so in GIS, in mapping, in cartography, a point is a point location on the Earth's surface, and it has a geometric or geographical representation, relationship with other features, other points. You might have some lines on your map representing roads, so you may want to find all points that are within a certain distance from a line. You might want to know how many points on the Earth's surface are within a certain polygon or face. Okay, so I know I'm going a little bit deeper than you really need to know for modeling, but just understand that topology in Blender or in 3D modeling is important because of those geometric relationships will determine how well your object gets rendered. Okay, now you guys know the term normals. Okay, normals is the way or the orientation of a vertex, edge, or faces. Okay, you should know by now in your modeling that if you have a face, okay, that its normals are pointed in the incorrect orientation, the render will be pretty nasty. Okay, let me show you. Okay, really quick, we're going to come over here to the viewport overlays. Try again. All right, and we're going to turn on face orientation. And you all know that blue means all those normals are facing in a certain direction. Okay, this is the correct orientation of all the faces in this sphere that we added. Okay, if I click on a face and I hit the Alt N button and I flip it, now you're going to notice that that face is red. That means the normals are facing away from us. Okay, so if I texture this sphere, this face, unless I have double-sided checked for our texture mapping or on the UV, okay, the direction of the texture is going to be pointing inside of the sphere, whereas all of the other ones are pointed out. Okay, that's a topology thing. Okay, a normal is related to topology. Okay, but it's not what I'm trying to talk about today. I'm sorry, I digress. But you get the point. All right, so let's select this, hit Alt N, and let's flip this back the way it was. All right, so that's enough of that. Let's turn off face orientation. Now let's look at our sphere in terms of topology. Everything on our sphere, and let me turn on vertices. Everything on our sphere is topologically correct. It's good, okay, with the exception of the very top. Okay, the North Pole, so to speak, and the South Pole. Notice that they converge at the poles, just like the Earth in terms of lines of longitude. They converge at the pole. That's where you get distortion, right? Okay, but you'll notice that there is one vertice at the so-called North Pole, and then that is connected to two other vertices to create this triangle where they come together. Okay, in the world of modeling, rendering, especially the sim hates triangles. Okay, rendering cannot stand triangles. Okay, if you're a cartographer and you're working with the 3D world, making maps, there's something called a TIN, which is triangular irregular network. Okay, it's the Earth's surface made up of a whole bunch of triangles like this. Okay, and each vertex has a different elevation. Okay, now in mapping for TINs, which is what I mentioned, triangular irregular network, TINs aren't that bad. Okay, they're very precise in terms of getting elevation, but for rendering in a model, it's not good. All right, so we want to try to eliminate as triangles as much as we can. So if I choose these right here, okay, this is a face, but it's a triangle. Okay, when it comes out to rendering, for the normal eye it might look fine, but it may cause problems down the road. Okay, but I'm going to show you another way to make a sphere that all of its topology are quads. Each face has 4 vertices. So you guys understand some terminology. A quad is a face made up of 4, no less, no more than 4 vertices. An n-gon is a face that is made up of 4 or more, actually more than 4 vertices. Okay, n-gons aren't good either. Okay, they're kind of like treated like a triangle in a sense in terms of rendering. Okay, so the real object, or the real objective, is your models to be nothing but quads as much as possible. Okay, there are times when sometimes you can't get away with it. All right, but anyway, here we go. We're going to make a sphere that has the correct topology. Okay, everything is a quad. All right, so let's get out of edit mode, tab out, and let's hit enter, and let's add a cube. Let's shift A, cube. So we get this cube. All right, now let's head over to the modifiers. Let's hit the modifier button, and let's add a bevel modifier to our cube. Okay, so we have a modifier. Now a lot of this stuff you're not going to see until I apply it. All right, but we have a cube that has beveled edges, and notice that we have on the corners we have a triangle. Okay, so technically that is not good topology. Okay, can you get away with it? Yeah, for a lot of stuff that you do. So let's add a few more things to our cube. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to open the profile, which we're not really going to mess with, so we don't need to do that. Let's open up geometry, and notice that we have clamp overlay and loop slides on. Make sure that that's checked. And let's turn on shading. Okay, and I don't think I'm going to make any changes there, right? I'm not. Okay, so let's come up to actually I am missing something here. Where is it? Oh, I know what I'm missing. I don't need that one. So sorry. I know how to do this, and I'm second guessing myself. Come up to the amount under the offset. Come up to the amount, and let's change that to 1 meter. Now we've turned the entire cube into 2 opposing pyramids. Okay, horrible topology, right? Okay, it's nothing but triangles. Okay, But let's make a change. Let's come over here to segments and let's type in 16. We have just converted this bevel into a sphere. Aha, see that? Now, if I go into edit mode, if I tab into edit mode right now, it's looking at the primitive cube that we added to begin with. All right. It's a primitive. Our primitive is a cube, but our modified primitive is a sphere. Now, topologically, this is still correct, believe it or not. Okay, because the cube itself is made up of nothing but quads. All right. But in order for this sphere that we've modified with the bevel modifier, in order for this to become our new object and it's topologically correct, we have to apply that bevel modifier after doing the amount of 1 meter and the segments of 16. So let's tab out of edit mode, because you can apply some modifiers in edit mode. And let's apply this bevel modifier. Now if I go into tab, I no longer have my cube as a primitive. I now have my sphere as a primitive. Now let's take a look at the topology of this sphere. So let's zoom in and we look. Remember in the corners of our cube when we added the bevel modifier, it had a triangle. It has now since split that triangle corner and created 3 quads. So everything is a quad. Now let's go to the North Pole, and the North Pole is made up of quads, and so is the South Pole. Okay, so we have turned a cube into a sphere and retained the quad topology. Okay, there are no triangles in this cube. Okay, then you can go in and add your texture and all that kind of stuff, and you'll have less artifacts because there's no triangles. Now there are some artifacts that you might deal with, but for the most case, this makes a smoother object for the sim because there are no triangles. There are no n-gons. Okay, it's a clean topology for your model. Okay, so you can use this for if you're doing like Epcot Center at Disney World or something like that, anywhere that you would have a sphere. The one of the disadvantages of using the cube into a sphere would be like applying a global type of texture like in the world. You might have to do some unorthodox things to make that turn out correctly, but it gets done all the time. Matter of fact, my logo for my physical world is an earth, a picture of the earth. Okay, that is not a picture or an image of the earth. That is something that I made in Blender, and it is a topologically correct cube turned into a sphere with an earth wrap on it. Okay, so you can do it. All right. But I use this method for a lot of my spheres, especially if I'm making light bulbs and stuff and orbs and stuff with emissive textures and things like that. So it's just a Blender tip. When you really want to use good topology, you might consider turning a cube into a sphere just like I just showed you. Just make sure that you apply that modifier so the topology is correct. Okay, anyway, I hope you like this video, and I know I talk and talk and talk, and I thank you guys for your patience for putting up with me for these past few years, and I will see you guys in the next video. See you later.